another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 8, Episode 15.
Or Episode 181 if you're counting.
Thank you, as always, to the Patreon contributors at patreon.com/MarsGirl who make this and everything else we do possible. Wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. It's gonna be a good day today, I hope.
Yes.
Yes. What's going on, Josh?
I am tired.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. We're both tired. It's a long week.
Long week. Very.
But we do our best to recuperate. We're looking forward to the trips that we're going to take later on this summer. Mm-hmm. We're still looking forward to G-Fest. Mm-hmm. Was that the 14th of next month, correct?
It's the middle of July.
Middle of July. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, going out to Japan World Heroes at the end of August. Mm-hmm. That's going to be friggin' sweet. And then, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but they're having this town, San Antonio, we have an anime convention here in town every year, and this year it happens to fall on the same day as a startup Power Rangers convention here in town.
I think that was, it doesn't happen to fall.
Well, it's...
clearly, this... What is the name of it?
More Phenomenal Expo.
They chose that date, and maybe that wasn't the most brilliant of timing, honestly. But yeah, they fall together at the same time this summer. So I don't know whether that was brilliant or not. It's free though.
It's free.
So yeah.
Free entrant, free parking. They got at least 3 Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
They got Reggie Roll. They got Andrew Gray. They got Justin Nemo. I care about 2 of them. 2 out of 3.
Lots of cosplay guests.
Lots of cosplay guests. Surprising, more cosplay guests than the anime convention.
Well, quite frankly, it's because the thing is hosted by cosplayers, Power Ranger cosplayers.
Pretty much,
They probably all know each other.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
It's a tight-knit group of people.
Yeah.
So it'll be funny to make that comparison, at least to me, to see all of the fans out there at Japan World Heroes versus coming back to town and seeing how they try to do it here. Mm-hmm. Because admittedly, yeah, this state has a lot of Power Rangers love. You know, we've got a Ranger or 2 around here.
A lot of Rangers have come out of Texas to begin with.
This is very true. But it'll just be funny to go from this large-scale, all-inclusive tokusatsu event to little meat and potatoes Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. Now that's not to belittle Power Rangers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just gonna be funny making that comparison. Mm-hmm. But at heart, everybody does enjoy the same thing. They just don't realize it. Like, we were having this conversation before about, I think we even said this on the show the last time we covered the Power Rangers reboot in depth, is that you've made this point that people who started watching Power Rangers, people our age, mm-hmm. and maybe a little younger, don't realize they fell in love with Sentai.
Yeah, of course. I really feel like you eventually do fall in love with the characters of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but really, quite frankly, the reason you fall in love with it to begin with was because you'd never seen anything that looked like it before, as far as the costumes, the dynamic posing, and the robots, the monster fights. You otherwise would have been going to watch Saved by the Bell, which... There already was Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, that was a thing.
But it didn't have suits and robots. And monster fights and stuff like that.
Yes. So, yeah, I admit that was true of myself, because when I first saw the promos for it, yes, they did show the Rangers out of suit, but what I was marveled by was the posing. Seeing 5 heroes like that. I'm like, what is this? Mm-hmm. I've never seen this before. And then I was hooked.
Well, good job.
Yes. And then, what was the other thing we were going to do? Oh, Monday we're going to see that new Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, very true. That is
Resident Evil
thing we're doing.
Vendetta,
yeah. So we saw the other couple of CG Resident Evil films.
We did. We rented those from Redbox. Mm-hmm. They're alright.
Yeah, these films, they come out okay. I always keep hoping that maybe one day we'll run into the... there's this 4D... attraction. It's not really a ride, per se.
You mean the one at Universal?
No, not in the slightest. It's an arcade. It only fits 2 people.
Oh, yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about,
And just, the seat kind of moves, and you watch this movie for like 10 minutes. It's a Resident Evil, and I don't remember what the name of it is. I always keep hoping that one day I'll stumble across it again. I only saw it once. This was almost 10 years ago out on Odaiba. Is the only time I ever saw this thing, and I've never seen it again since. But I think that's an interesting addition to, this CG storytelling Resident Evil. But now we're gonna get this other movie to just add on to that.
And see, the funny thing about that was I was just looking at some of the stuff that specifically Universal Japan does for their Resident Evil thing, where they have some zombies walking in the streets there, Universal, which is not too dissimilar from how cheap the zombie walk here has become. But then they have the actual attraction where they give people fake guns to shoot at the actor zombies.
Yeah.
And, like, I get the thrill of that, because the first year we did it, that was our thrill, was being the survivors, the heroes, versus the fake zombies, because people would play along then.
Yeah, but at the same time, the kids didn't know reality from not real stuff, and they actually bit me.
I got bit too.
Yeah, the children will bite you.
It was my arm and your leg, or your leg and my arm?
I think it was my leg. They got me in the leg.
They got me in the arm then. Because I remember there's one picture in specific that I'm actually reacting, because I'm actually getting teeth.
Yeah.
Through my jacket. I'm like. So I almost popped that kid. I popped a couple of kids that night.
You did not hit children.
I did hit children.
No, you didn't hit children.
Maybe it was the second year.
Forget it.
You know what, don't even worry about it. Yeah, if you bite, they had it go. All right, yeah, okay. That's all we got.
Okay, thank you. So does that mean we need to move on to stories?
We probably should.
Okay, so in regards to stories coming up, of course, Josh is wearing a shirt that he refused to not wear.
No, not tonight. No.
Despite the fact that you can see straight through him. So we all know Adam West passed away at the age of 88. We're going to be discussing the circumstances around that, his legacy, the way people are reacting.
And some stuff going on tonight.
Yes. Thank you.
Our second story of the evening, of course, we didn't want to not talk about last Friday's reveal during the NBA Finals of our first look at the teaser for Marvel's Black Panther. So we're going to be talking to you guys about the movie, what we had as reactions to it. We actually saw it live. We didn't wait for the internet. And hopefully this will be a good movie. We'll be talking about that.
And finally, just today wrapped up E3. So why not talk a whole bunch about stuff that we saw
a lot of games
coming out of E3. I don't know how excited everybody is about it.
I'm about a 50-50 split.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they're it's alright. Nobody's like, woo, but yeah, everybody's like, yeah, this is pretty okay. So we'll talk about the pretty okay stuff.
The pretty okay stuff.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get more excited as time moves on.
Yes, of course. But before we get into that, of course, we've got follow-ups.
Yes,
so let's get into it. First, full-blown Justice League. Let's get it up there.
I guess.
Yes, full-blown Justice League. So we have confirmation this week that Danny Elfman, who most of you know for all of his definitive scores of different movies, most of them Tim Burton, specifically Tim Burton's Batman, will be scoring for the Justice League movie.
Well, at least that's one thing it's got going in its favor. That's...
Well, to the other being Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but her writing's going to be completely and utterly different.
Depends on those reshoots.
Yes, it does, but who's the writer? Who is the writer of this movie?
Oh, yeah. Snyder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, give up hope, Josh.
They just have the words at the beginning of Paradise Lost. All ye who pass beyond here lose all hope. I forget the exact quote.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
That's what I meant. I got it all out of order.
Wow,
but you knew what I was
okay.
I haven't read today, Kaylin.
I
haven't gotten to a library.
I don't think you've read.
I've read?
I don't think you can read.
It was required reading in high school.
It's required reading when you know how to read.
I know how to read.
Let's move on.
Okay. What did I write here? Oh, okay, Wonder Woman. Yeah, so let's talk more about Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So, of course, that was one of our main stories last week. She won the weekend 2 weekends in a row with a surprising drop of only 45%. Normally, superhero movies have a drastic 50 to 60% drop, so this was a very low drop. And very satisfying along with that is the fact that that's higher than Suicide Squad, Man of Steel, and Batman vs. Superman combined as far as their drops go, because they were very steep drops. And along with that, The Mummy did terrible.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know why that gives me so much joy to hear that The Mummy is doing so bad. I know that sounds so awful. I'm so sorry, but But I really like that it's not doing well.
It's a terrible movie.
It's not a good movie at all.
That's a terrible movie.
I wish we had not wasted time seeing it for free.
If I had known it was going to be as bad as it was, we should have just stayed home.
Yeah.
I should have just stayed at work that day.
It was bad.
It was bad. Okay, so let's move on to some other news here. Going right into Marvel news. So Tom Holland has revealed in an interview that Marvel has contracted him specifically to have a Spider-Man trilogy, a new Spider-Man trilogy there with Marvel.
Okay.
That they're going to have this arc that they're going to take Peter through, of course, starting with Homecoming, which of course will be premiering in just a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Over on the Infinity War end of things, Chris Evans has agreed to sign on for one more Marvel movie under the provision that it will wrap up the story. Now, people aren't sure if he's actually meaning the story of just what they're dealing with Thanos, or specifically his character as Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Because admittedly, yes, we've been enjoying this world that Marvel has built up for years and years and years, but at a certain point, you know, actors want to do other projects, people get older, people want to see new people take on roles.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say what he actually means? We'll find out
when we get there. Yeah, I don't know what that means. That's confusing to me.
All right, moving on to some other news. James Gunn spoke a little bit about his writing process for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 script, specifically citing that he's a bit conflicted right now because what he's trying to write for the movie might contradict canon that he already put into the first movie, specifically citing the scene where the Guardians have been arrested, and you see the little bits of text next to their, well, not really mugshots, they're just staying there in the... You can't really call it a police lineup, the Nova Corps lineup. He says specifically something that's on the screen there that's written out for what he wants to write, he'll have to retcon it. But he won't specifically say what.
Okay.
And people have already gone back, looked at the DVD, looked at the Blu-ray, and tried to figure out, well, what is it that he's trying to retcon? There's not too much that really matters that much. Like that minute detail. So take that as you will. Either he's really overthinking it, or he's just really that dedicated.
I see.
So, you know, there's a positive side to that. Okay, moving on to some monster news. So let's take a look here at our first look at a poster for Godzilla Monster Planet, now featuring the design that they're going with for Godzilla in this movie. Of course, this very much looks like the Legendary Pictures version that we got just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, interesting they're going with an American Godzilla design.
Well, yeah, because we were kind of the same mindset that they were going to go with Shin Godzilla. And I wouldn't have faulted them for that, since it did so well over there. You would think they want to keep that iconography up, keep that Godzilla present in their minds.
That, and they're developing more of that particular Shin Godzilla. But then again, Legendary, maybe their movie's going to come out sooner than the next Shin Godzilla.
Right. So
maybe that's better identification then?
Well, yeah, and as far as I recall, they didn't have a problem with it. So, you know, yeah, that one's going to be the more worldwide recognizable one. But even then, it's kind of the way I feel about when we have competing Superman or competing Flashes. You know, people will make their pick of which one they prefer.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of the time it's like, why even bother? Just stick with one. So maybe it's better this way that they go with this one.
Understandable.
Okay, so moving on to some other monster news. So Neil Blomkamp last night revealed his first volume of Oats, this new project that he's working on, specifically this short called Raka, which we have a photo of here. It was only a short 22-minute mini movie that he's put out, but it's very interesting to look at. You know, this dystopian world where these lizard creatures showed up and basically enslaved mankind, and it's very well told, very well shot. It's got Sigourney Weaver in it. Very well done special effects. I could have watched a whole hour and a half of it. So yes, if you guys want to watch that, that's over on YouTube right now. Can't wait to look forward to the next volumes that he's going to be releasing. I think he's got at least 3 more coming out.
It'll end up adding up to almost a full-length movie.
You know, that'd be pretty cool if he decided to go ahead and release it as a DVD, just all of them together.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
That'd be interesting.
Yes. Okay, so moving on to some video game news. So we have confirmation that the Tomb Raider reboot movie has finished filming.
Cool.
So they're going to be in post right now. Hopefully we'll get a trailer sometime soon. Maybe Comic-Con, we're hoping.
Yeah, that would be an appropriate place.
It would have been just the slightest bit fitting if they had something ready, like a teaser for E3, since it's video game based. I just think that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know, because when you see so many times that, you know, movies have been filming during, like, say, Comic-Con, for example, and they're like, no, we didn't want to miss out. Here's something to show you guys.
But more often than not, movies, even if they're based on video games, don't end up showing up at E3. It doesn't happen so often. It is a missed opportunity, but I feel like Hollywood does not make a conscious decision to go out to E3. It's just not on their radar.
They're getting closer there with as much star talent as they're pulling for their games. So yeah, that's one thing there. Moving on to some DuckTales news. So we got confirmation this week that they are sticking with the original theme. It's just been re-recorded. So the way that's going to work is DuckTales will premiere in August with a 1-hour-long movie appropriately titled DuckTales. Woo! Yeah, that just makes sense.
Yeah, of
and
course.
The movie will be played on a 24-hour loop for an entire day there in August, and then the series itself will premiere in September. Now, I guess it's worth mentioning to people, just in case they try to believe in it like we did, there are some scans going around of a certain crime-fighting duck in the background of certain shots of this. These have been edited. It's not actually there.
It's so sad,
much
though.
to our disappointment.
I know.
But I did see earlier today that a certain actor whose name rhymes with Tim Cummings tweeted out a picture.
That was the worst. That was the worst.
It was Jim
rhyme.
Cummings, all right? All
yeah,
right.
you
feel
why
better?
Not, why not
you feel better?
just
I just
say
admitted
his name?
it was Jim Cummings. All right. He tweeted out a picture of somebody, and a lot of this has been popping up too, drawing Darkwing in this more comic book DuckTales style, and I gotta say, it fits really well.
It does, right?
I just want him to show up.
I just
Please
want him
show
to
up.
come back, yeah.
Like, yeah, I want his old. I want another series, but I'll be fine if he shows up here for like a 2-episode stint.
Exactly.
For a second, and then I'll still want the series. You know, let's just keep moving.
Thank you.
Okay, so some interesting video game adaptation news. So, of course, we already dealt with Assassin's Creed. We dealt with Warcraft. Now, Gearbox is talking about 2 specific properties being turned into movies that are apparently being worked on right now, and studios are looking into this, specifically Borderlands, which we talked about before, and the other one, Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem, if you ask me, makes sense. Hollywood sense to me. It's just gonna be mindless, senseless. Things are being shot and exploded. Like, it makes sense. I get it. The question is whether or not it'll actually get finished being made.
Now, based off the quote that was given earlier, it sounds like Duke Nukem is closer to making an announcement than Borderlands is right now. Now, admittedly, Borderlands would probably be the more interesting of the two, whereas Duke Nukem has about as much depth to it as the XXX movies.
Well, at the same time, I also feel like it missed its window. Like, it was created during that time where, like, that was the kind of stuff going on in Hollywood all the time. And then
like, it should have come out in the 90s.
It should have come out in the early 90s, and they missed the boat, unfortunately, if you ask me. It might be a little too late, unless what you want to do is really bank on making it look like this is an action movie that came out of the 90s, in which case, that would be, in its own way, kind of charming.
You're basically kind of trying to do what Kung Fury did.
Right,
Go for the retro feel.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, in that case, then that might work. Okay, so moving on to some other news here. It is worth noting that the Power Rangers reboot is out on Blu-ray and DVD now, if you guys want to pick that up.
Not especially, but thank you.
But, yeah.
Thank you for offering.
Yeah, that's a thing. You can rent it. Save some money. Yeah. Okay, and then the last bit of Tokusatsu news we have is we have confirmation of the Exade movie ending theme, which will again be sung by Daiichi Miura. The song is called Life is Beautiful. That will be released around the time that the movie is released there in August. You can hear a small snippet of it here in this new trailer that they've been releasing for the movie, again titled True Ending. We haven't completely confirmed how exactly it ties into the series as far as canon inclusion, but of course we'll find out more about that as we get closer to the end of the series proper.
Of course.
But yes, that's all of our follow-ups for the evening. Let's go ahead and get into our first story.
All right. So how to even begin this? By all means, why don't you go ahead? I feel like Adam West is more of a prominent, important figure within your entertainment, how you were built to enjoy entertainment.
This is very true. growing up, I've always been very imaginative. I've always loved heroes. I've always loved superhero stories. The bigger, larger-than-life spectacle. That started with Adam West. Mm-hmm. That started with Batman 66. And I remember from a very young age, from like 3, they would show on, local stations, they would rerun the old series. And I remember, like, Saturday mornings, I would get up to watch cartoons, and, the cartoons would stop at about 11 a.m., mm-hmm. and then I'd switch over to one of the local stations here in town, I think it's, like, the CBS affiliate, and they would show an hour's worth of Batman. Mm-hmm. And I was just glued to the television. I was there every Sunday, like, the stereotypical kid with the towel wrapped around their neck. We had a little porch back in the house where I grew up that had a little ramp on there. I begged my dad to tie a little rope around it so I could climb down because we couldn't have a bat pole. And yeah, that's what started my love of superheroes. And as such, I promised myself that, because at the time the series wasn't available on DVD, it just barely. DVDs weren't invented yet.
It wasn't available for home video consumption.
Right. The only thing anybody ever had was just Batman the movie, mm-hmm. which was out, in VHS and later on DVD, but that was the only thing you could get. Mm-hmm. And I promised myself that when the day came, because I knew they eventually had to release it, I would make sure to purchase every single volume, even if I had to pay extra for it, because of how much it meant to me. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, but sadly, I got to finish that Saturday morning when I found out the news. So yes, as we mentioned there at the top of the show, Adam West did pass away this weekend at the age of 88. Good long life, mm-hmm. From a very short battle with leukemia. He, of course,
which really, all things considered, you start to hear, cancer or leukemia, all these other things. At the age of 88, that's natural causes, and you can't. You can be sad that somebody is gone, and I say this so frequently about a lot of the older celebrities that pass away, but what a full and fantastic life to be remembered, What fantastic memories Adam West gave us, not just as Batman, because my God, of course he's going to be perma-remembered as Batman, but showing up in other comedic stints in other places.
Well, yeah, because the whole reason he got cast as Batman was because of his comedy chops. Mm-hmm. He was a goofy kind of James Bond-like character for an old Nestle Quick ad, mm-hmm. and the producers of Batman saw it, and they were like, that guy, I want that guy to read for Batman. And that's what got him the part. And of course from there, he was the first guy, George Reeves had his popularity with Superman, mm-hmm. but nobody really remembered the Batman around those early times, the 1940 serials. Same for Superman, but, George Reeves was a household name as Superman, and then that died off. And then Adam West comes out, and it was the first case of something that recurs every couple of generations that we refer to as Batmania, mm-hmm. where it's everywhere. It's on lunchboxes, it's on t-shirts, it's on TV, it's on TV Guide, it's just everywhere. And especially when the series came to DVD, there was all of the comic book tie-ins now, which still run to this day, mm-hmm. specifically telling that Batman story, all the action figures that came out. As a result, they've got this really sweet Batmobile set at one of our local comic shops. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yes.
It has the 2-pack of Batman and Robin there. It's a little pricey, and that price probably went up this weekend.
So I really wish that you had gotten the opportunity with me. Back a couple years back, I went to... by the way, thank you, MJ Foy. Thank you so much for that donation. I wanted to go ahead and recognize you right now before it got away.
Yes.
I wish you had been there when I was potentially going to be on season 2 of King of the Nerds.
Oh, yeah.
TBS, right. Got me out there, and while I did not get on, because I was one of the finalists, they did say, hey, we're going to give you the Warner Brothers Studios backlot tour. And sure enough, back there's the Gotham Police Department. There's Adam West Batman's Batmobile back in there. What an amazing thing to experience. And people can just pay to go on this tour.
Yeah.
So if ever we go back, I would highly encourage, you definitely, I sent you pictures, and I know you were real upset at the time.
Yeah.
But... just what a fascinating thing to say, you stood where Adam West filmed some of this stuff before.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling.
And, I see some people there talking about, the last thing he did as Batman, which was specifically Return of the Caped Crusaders. Now, I had this question, a lot of people had this question over the weekend, since they had announced the sequel direct-to-DVD animated movie featuring William Shatner as Two-Face. From what we understand, yes, he did finish recording his lines before this weekend, so it does look like they're going to be moving forward with that. So far as we know, his last performance was as Batman.
Yeah.
Now, it is worth noting, of course, for those of you out in the Los Angeles area, in just a little over an hour, as a tribute to him, the Los Angeles Police Department will be lighting up the night sky with the bat signal in his honor.
That's pretty cool.
And they've invited anybody in the area who has a utility belt or a costume to come out in honor of his memory. I remember I told you about this, and I mentioned it over on social media, that the last Dragon Con I went to, and this is about like 8 years ago, somewhere around that ballpark, he was there as a guest, and there was going to be a panel specifically for him. And I was there like an hour and a half, 2 hours ahead of time, because I wanted to make sure I was there for that. And unfortunately, he couldn't make it. He didn't end up going to the convention.
That's real rough.
And that was the year where I specifically brought money, knowing I was going to meet him potentially. And the thing about it was, Dragon Con was the first time I had ever even seen bootleg copies of Batman 66.
You were about to put money down on a bootleg.
I was about to put money down on a bootleg.
Well, to be fair, there was no hide nor hair of when the official releases were going to come out.
We wouldn't get the official releases for another, my God, about 7 years afterward. But even then, I remember looking at him and thinking to myself, no, getting a bootleg isn't what this Batman would have wanted. And that's what talked me out of it.
Well, because this Batman really cares about justice as far as crime is concerned.
Well, he cared about the law, because he's described there in the series as a fully deputized agent of the law there in Gotham. As such, because of his portrayal being so goofy and lighthearted, but still remaining true to the morals of Batman, he's referred to now as the Bright Knight. Whereas every other depiction we, of course, refer to as the Dark Knight. That's not...
The Night Bright.
Well, the night light is what they're going to shine tonight.
I know.
But night with a K.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah,
but as such, like...
The Light Bright. The whole peg system.
And use the light bright to make
the bat symbol, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
go. There are very few celebrities who mean as much to me as Adam West did. And admittedly, when I heard the news, first thing, like, it was literally the first thing I saw when I woke up Saturday morning. And it's rough, because, when you, I guess I could use the term idolize somebody, it's hard to let that go. But at the same time, like we always say on the show, we have this wealth of his filmography to look at. The legacy will continue on. We'll get that last performance, but we can cherish that performance and every other performance that came before it.
Of course.
So we don't want to spend too much more time on it, because we got a lot of other stuff to get to. But there's something I never got to say to him, and I'm going to say it now. Thank you, Mr. West, for being a hero, for being my hero. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We do have to move on.
But I'm going to do the transition.
Okay.
Little bat symbol.
He bought a fidget spinner, guys.
I bought a fidget spinner just so I could do that. Specifically Batman-shaped. He bought
a fidget spinner, guys.
Specifically for this.
Oh, okay.
Alright, that was it. I've done my thing.
You spent money for those 2 seconds.
I'm gonna do it again after Black Panther.
Oh no! See, we have to move on to a different hero.
Yeah, we have to move on to a different universe. So yes, Friday night.
Oh, it's right at the top of the trailer. Woo!
Yeah,
awesome.
Great. So yes, last Friday night during the NBA Finals, we weren't actually watching the NBA Finals. We were eating pizza, and the NBA Finals were on in the background. They showed the first teaser trailer for Marvel's Black Panther, which is coming out next February. This is the first footage we've seen of it. We've seen little pictures here and there of what's going on, but this is our first real taste of this not even universe, this part of the Marvel universe that we're not as familiar with. Because admittedly, much like even Iron Man was back at the beginning. Not a lot of people knew Iron Man. Iron Man wasn't a household name at the time.
No, granted, I think people knew who Iron Man was. As like, yeah, he's a guy, but not like, oh, he's the guy. And
Not
then,
like he is now.
And now he became the guy.
He became the guy. This movie,
the Iron Guy,
the Iron Man, and
The
then
Iron
Don
Man
Cheadle
guy.
became the Iron Man 2. But here we're definitely seeing that T'Challa is the guy. So here we're seeing a taste of what's going on there. A lot of different things we're seeing. A lot of infighting, it seems, there in Wakanda with the character there played by Michael B. Jordan breaking out Ulysses Claw, of course, who we've seen there in Avengers Age of Ultron, who most likely will be wanting several things. Of course, Claw wants more vibranium, the resource that they use to make Captain America's shield, which they have in abundance there in Wakanda. And of course, Michael B. Jordan's character, who I believe is Killmonger, he wants the throne.
Of course.
Because, of course, you know, you can't have royalty without somebody wanting to take your throne from you. Now, a lot of people have been reacting to this very boisterously.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it's so vivid, it's so bright, it shows how technologically advanced Wakanda is, which is saying something considering we've watched several different, more than a dozen Marvel movies at this point with varying levels of technology, and this still looks more advanced than what we've seen, which is to be commended for, because of the fact that's what Wakanda is. They're this as they mentioned there at the beginning, it's this secluded nation where they put up this front of, oh, we don't do very much, you know, we're just we keep to ourselves, but they're like, they would put Sony to shame.
Yeah.
They would put everything that we saw at E3 to shame. Now, the thing about it is, we don't see a lot of Black Panther himself in this, but I imagine that's just a test of what we're going to see there in the movie, because, of course, he's using his all-black suit to his advantage. He's lurking in the shadows. Clearly, he's got some augmented strength and some other abilities that were not being shown just yet, because you don't want to give everything away. It's a teaser.
Of course, yeah. Why would you?
But, yeah, this is something that is a different flavor than what we've gotten so far, and I like it for that. Because after a while, after 3 Avengers movies, you kind of get this, well, it's only 2, but let's not lie to ourselves.
Civil War is an Avengers film.
Movie.
Come on now.
I like the fresh taste.
Yeah, well, I also really like that here's a movie that ties in, and just like you said, I really am not all that familiar with Black Panther, but because I'm not familiar with it, I don't have to set my expectations, like, ridiculously high. I can just go in there and be like, no, entertain me. What is it gonna entertain me? Do it. Go ahead. It's gonna be fine. I'm not scared for it. I don't think it's gonna be a bad movie. I think it looks like it's going to be a very entertaining movie. I'm glad that I see so many people out there feeling like they are seeing themselves being represented in this movie.
Yes,
and so
very much.
that is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I'm excited to see just how good of a movie they've created that allows for that representation to exist in the first place.
And yes, I do see that comment there. Because of Michael B. Jordan being in this, Marvel Studios giving Human Torch actors a second chance since 2012.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, yeah, admittedly, I paid money for that movie, and Fantastic was terrible. So terrible. But I needed to warn people. You
know, other people were doing that for you just fine before you ever went to that movie.
Yeah, but I felt duty-bound to do it.
No, you didn't. You
I had to know how
movies.
bad.
No, you watch movies even when they're terrible. You just have this movie obsession, and it's a problem, and you need to seek help.
Are you playing with the fidget spinner?
It was sitting there, Josh.
But
I don't even like it though, because I can't.
You know, I'll get you one in a different shape.
I don't want one.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because you just kind of picked it up.
It was where my mouse is supposed to go.
But your mouse is where your hand was.
Talk about T'Challa, Josh.
Okay, so T'Challa, yes. So yes, we also see his mother there, working there with the Dora Milaje, which is his all-female guard, which is something people have been responding to very positively there. That, oh yeah, more women representation. Which has been doing well, of course, with Wonder Woman, and I think that'll carry over here. I can't wait to see what the actual full trailer shows us. because so far people have already been responding to just a minute and a half's worth of footage. Just wait until they give us 2 minutes.
Yes.
2.5 minutes. And people will just be like, now, tickets, please, take my money, take my money.
Well, people are saying that already.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, I look forward to the records this might break. Mm-hmm. Because I really think, because of that, because representation is so important and people will go out to support that. Like, no, yeah.
Well, that's what happened with Wonder Woman.
But see, the good thing about Wonder Woman that I think will happen here as well is it's not just representation for representation's sake, where, oh, it has a woman in it, so I will support it. No, it's representation, and it was good.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the same thing here. I trust Ryan Coogler as director here. I'm looking forward to this. Yes, bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I just... He looks so cool.
He does. He's looked cool since Civil War.
Which was a good job there, getting the audience ready for him. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You really want time for E3, right?
Yeah, that's kind of it. I'm having to censor myself here because we got a lot of video games to cover.
Yeah, so I hate to stop. So I feel like we spent so little time talking about Black Panther, but there's how do you not? We have to have more time to talk about E3.
To talk about at E3. I don't. Do we go in chronological, or you just want to pick whatever?
Well, let's sort of pick. Let's say because I'm looking at stuff out of Nintendo.
Okay, let's go with Nintendo.
Was the last of the conferences to come out, first of all speaking, and they had another digital conference. But at the same time, man, I feel like Nintendo, if anybody was going to say, oh, who's the winner of E3,
well, see,
it might have been Nintendo.
I think that's highly going to depend on who you talk to.
That's true. I admit, that is very, very true.
Because I've got people saying, oh, Nintendo won, and I've got other people saying, no, Sony won, and other people saying Bethesda won, and, I don't really agree with any of them. I think all the different conferences this year had ups and downs. Some had some really awesome things. Some had some really, really meh things. Mm-hmm. Nothing looked bad. It was just either good or meh.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Nintendo for a second. So they've got a new co-op Kirby game coming out.
That looked fun.
Looks cute and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of have to, blow through some of this in order to get to all of it. Breath of the Wild's getting new DLC, so, cool for those
Are you going to go back and play for that?
I might. I've just got so many games, though, that going back for DLC, unless it adds drastically to the story, I don't know.
Oh, wait, I forgot to do that transition between that story and this one.
It's too late. Give
I already did it. All right, let's keep going.
There's going to be a new Pokemon game eventually on the Switch. But now Nintendo...
Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, Nintendo's not necessarily ready to give up on the 3DS. That is evidenced by, also, I have to briefly bring up Metroid.
Yes, we had 2 Metroid games announced.
So Metroid Prime 4 is a thing that is coming, and
Metroid Samus Returns.
Which is kind of remake master of Metroid 2-ish. Nintendo had actually sent a cease and desist on a fan-made remake of Metroid 2, and people are going, it's not like you're making it, why are you doing... And then everybody had to eat their words, because that's actually exactly what they were doing, and it looks really good, actually. So I say that to say that Nintendo wants you to believe that the 3DS is not dead yet. Reggie was saying this a whole bunch during the Nintendo Treehouse.
But the way you feel about it is, if you have to keep saying it, then you're trying to convince people.
I feel like, they might not be ready to let it die only because they like being able to say how many units the 3DS pushes.
Yeah.
Even though I think it would be smart to start moving on to the Switch. And I think they eventually are going to.
Well, yeah, because there's this idea that if they put out this new Pokemon game for the Switch, it could, under their own weight, effectively kill the 3DS.
Well, yeah, Pokemon has that power.
Yes.
Easily. You put Pokemon, a mainline Pokemon title, onto the Switch, that's where the jump comes in. And the Pokemon creator himself, for the most part up until now, he has not wanted Pokemon to be on a home console because he is committed to the idea of Pokemon being a portable thing where you can trade with other people and interact with other people in real life. So now he is convinced enough to put it on a home console because that home console is now portable. So we've also got Rocket League is coming to the Switch. And
that seemed like a no-brainer.
However, cross-network play, as in our friends who play on PS4, we can play with our friends on PS4 on the Switch. Same thing now with Minecraft. Minecraft is now going to be cross-platform compatible.
Not everybody, though, right?
Almost everybody, yes.
Almost everybody.
Yeah, they were saying all the consoles and PC. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Didn't somebody
Not
say
mobile.
that?
Not mobile.
Not mobile.
Not because mobile's totally like there's different restrictions on mobile. Yeah. That having been said, there's another new Yoshi game. It looks really cute. There's some people out there who are super psyched about Fire Emblem Warriors. Fire Emblem's got a big following. I'm not
in it, so I can't really comment on it.
Super Mario Odyssey, alright?
Yeah, we gotta talk about Super Mario Odyssey. So now, how are we looking at this? So, have we been lied to all this time? Like, it was the hat saving the princess all these years?
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
Is that what we're looking at?
That's entirely
because
possible.
Now we're looking at this power that Mario or the hat has now. And the hat has a name, right?
Cappy.
Cappy.
Cappy is the name of the hat.
Cappy apparently has the power to, if Mario whips it around like Sailor Moon's tiara and it lands on something like a fire hydrant or a mailbox or a T-Rex, he becomes that thing.
He becomes a T-Rex, guys. He's a T-Rex now.
He's a T-Rex now.
That's pretty insane. We've got Mario wearing a sombrero and a serape, which apparently I guess he's done in a game called what was it? Vox? Or like it wasn't even a Mario game. Mario appeared in it, and he's wearing a hat and a sombrero. Well, now he's like actually using it, and like he's out in the desert with a bunch of cactus.
And then we have to briefly mention the crossover with Rabbids.
Yes, which that came up during Ubisoft's conference, and I know a lot of people are super irritated by the Rabbids. They are kind of annoying. However, that game looks so entertaining to me. It really does, because
I found it more annoying.
It's a tactical RPG. It's a turn-based tactical... I've never seen Mario in a turn-based tactical RPG. That is why I find it to be so interesting and entertaining looking. I mean, of course, the Rabbids are irritating.
Yeah, the Rabbids are right up there with the dang little minions.
Yeah,
like,
they
I can't stand them.
I understand that. I totally understand
So, since that's Ubisoft, let's go ahead and start talking about Ubisoft. They decided, no, this is the year we're bringing back Assassin's Creed. We're going to start from the very beginning. No, not Altair. Before that, Egyptians.
I mean, okay. I don't think that fits with canon, but at least Egypt is cool. It is. It looks pretty.
It looks alright, but by this point, it's like, I died off when, like, sorry, spoilers, guys. I died off from the series when Desmond died off. Like, I don't want to go on.
Wow, okay, that's a lot of Assassin's Creed that you're missing out on then.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, you're done with it. All right, cool.
Let's see, we had some other stuff. We had The Crew, that's another racing game.
Crew 2, yeah.
Crew 2. South Park, The Fractured Butthole.
That's the joke in the trailer. Yeah, that's the joke. Thank you.
Now, the thing about it is, the more I see it, the more I can justify making this purchase, because you get a copy of Stick of Truth along with it for free.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have a copy of that currently.
Yes. There's this new VR thing with Elijah Wood called Transference. We didn't really get any major gameplay.
Yeah, there's not a sense of how it actually functions. But Elijah Wood's in the trailer, so I guess it's good, right?
I hope.
I mean, I guess. So, was it Ubisoft? Yeah, Skull and Bones. So,
one of the two pirate games we saw.
Also, one of the two trailers that did that friggin' creepy cover trailer music.
Now, this has really been getting under your skin lately.
I can't stand it anymore, guys. I can't stand it. They did I like Seal, okay?
That's fine.
In musician, he did
Kiss from a Rose.
So he did...
In Batman.
So he did...
the song called Crazy.
That in the 90s, and now we've got this creepy... We're never gonna survive. get a little crazy. And then there's these cannons going off as pirates, and I'm like, how does this fit with pirates? This makes no sense. I don't understand. I'm so done with the creepy trailer cover songs.
And I'm like,
they don't fit.
Like, Ubisoft, you already tried to give us pirates with Assassin's Creed. Like, I already played that game. Like, no, we're good. Black Flag was all I needed.
But there is a Pirates game that is coming out that is a more entertaining Pirates game.
Which we'll get to in a second. Let's see what else we had. Another
More
Just Dance.
And of course they had a creepy panda come out.
Now, technically, we should still talk about this one, Starlink, which actually is something that they have coming out for the Switch, which looks actually really kind of cool because they have this little dock that you have for your Joy-Cons, and then you get to build this little ship, which will translate to what you're seeing on screen in the game. Like, so if you take off a modification to the wing and then put it on, it pops up there in the game. It's kind of like the Lego Dimensions sort of mentality.
Seems like it'll be expensive.
It's probably going to be expensive,
but
I imagine people who will eventually become Warhammer people will love this thing.
Yes.
So there's that. Some game about the Olympics. Oh boy. Far Cry 5.
Winter Olympics specifically.
We got Far Cry 5.
Which I find to be very interesting because we've got that very southwestern, very Southern Baptist, they all got guns and tattoos.
Yes.
And I'm really interested in the premise, honestly.
And then people absolutely overjoyed about the announcement of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Well, nobody thought we were ever going to get another Beyond Good and Evil. That was an Xbox original launch title. Well, I don't know if it was like launch, but, you know, it was
first
on
gen.
First gen Xbox game. And now there's another one just suddenly out of nowhere. And
it looks good.
People flipped their
Or at
lid.
least that cinematic looked good.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's everything Ubisoft gave us. Let's go ahead and move on to...
Well, I'm kind of looking at Microsoft right now.
Okay, yeah, let's go to Microsoft.
The Scorpio became the Xbox One X, which everybody's just going to call the Xbone X.
Well, no, because people were very quick to point out, you know, when you look at the initials there, it's Xbox One X. You made your initials Xbox. Y'all thought you were slick. You ain't that slick, you're dumb.
Yeah.
That was too easy.
Yeah. That's so sad.
So this is what the Scorpio became.
So honestly, I don't need it. I don't need the Xbox One X. I didn't need it when it was called...
backwards compatibility is cool and all. It is cool. But, like, I still don't...
I mean, we still don't have a 4K TV. I think a lot of people... still are not going to have 4K TVs for a while. It's becoming more and more common, don't get me wrong. But we can't afford... to me, the difference is negligible. I would rather us just get an original Xbox One at this point, and I realize that it's...
Not an S?
Maybe an S. I realize it's outdated, but money. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of money. I'd rather just get an original.
Price drive sales.
Yeah, price drive sales. And it's... So the Xbox One X is going to... they have a release date here somewhere. I'll totally bring up that release date as soon as I can figure out when that is. They have one. I promise they have one.
Now, the price tag is also something that I'm not...
Oh, yeah, $500.
That's
I'm not
steep.
feeling the $500.
That's car payment money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I could rationalize, you know, 3... You know, that's about what we paid for the Switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
3.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, I'm looking at it, and it doesn't look like they did too much extra to it. Like, I remember that one episode of The Simpsons where Homer made his copy of the...
November 7th!
November 7th, there you go. Where Homer made his copy of what he thought a good power plant would look like, and he just took the power plant design that they had already and just put a racing stripe on it.
Right.
That's kind of what that feels like.
So we've got Black Desert Online.
That looked really cool.
You thought it looked cool?
Yeah, because there's not a lot of MMOs that I am drawn to. I'm more drawn in by the visuals. Mm-hmm. Gameplay's negligible one way or the other, but that one looked really cool. There's this Crackdown. That was the one with
Crackdown
Terry
3, yeah.
Is that the one with Terry Crews?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about that one, because I didn't really get a sense of how does this distinguish you from any other shooter I'm watching?
Yeah, I didn't get a sense of how it plays all that much. I got it. It looks very stylized. But,
but
I imagine it can't play that much differently than its predecessors. Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Wait, is it Fighter Z or Fighters?
I'm going to assume Fighter Z, even though the Z is jammed at the end of the Fighters.
Okay, that looked awesome.
I think that's some of the best cell shading animation I've seen in a video game in a while. Some of the best utilization I've seen.
Yeah, because it looks like the anime come to life.
Yeah, it looks like it's animated 2D by hand, when obviously you can't get that kind of animation in a fighting game like that. Not very realistically.
You got Forza
Motorsport 7, which, looks very pretty, as Forza usually does.
Yeah.
I'm not really a Forza kind of person. Tons of people are excited about Life is Strange Before the Storm, which is a prequel to Square Enix's Life is Strange. They moved it to a different production studio for this one. I've still not played the original Life is Strange. But
I hear nothing but good
things.
things.
Oh yeah, absolutely nothing but good things.
Metro Exodus.
Not too familiar with it, but there's a big mutated bear in it. And you go and you fall off a cliff, that's kind of cool.
I'm looking at it though, and it's like, how are you any different from like Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah.
Which we'll get to more of that later. Sea of Thieves, which is the other pirate game that
That's
was
what I wanted to talk about.
We heard a little bit about.
It actually looks fun, and we were saying last year it looks fun.
Yeah, last year when we first got to look at it, this looks really fun, and now it looks more fun.
Yes.
And this year will be even more better.
More better. So there's always more stuff out of Microsoft. What do you like?
Deep Rock Galactic, the gnomes, or was it gnomes or dwarves?
No, the dwarves, yeah.
Co-op dwarf game.
That did look interesting.
State of Decay, just another zombie shooter.
State of Decay 2.
2, yeah.
2.
The Darwin Project.
Which
one was that one? Oh, that was the one that's like the Hunger Games.
It did kind of seem like the Hunger Games to me, yes. I want to move on a little bit to Sony. We did talk a lot.
I did want to quickly talk about Code Vein, which is this one that we were announcing a couple of months ago, and then we got a first look at it here. Very Japanese stylized.
Yes.
I definitely want to try that one out.
Okay, I would like to move along to Sony because we only have 5 minutes left in the show.
So Sony, we had...
Well, I really wanted to discuss Monster Hunter World, which by all accounts looks like it's going to be some kind of an MMO of some variety. So it's going to come out on consoles first. Thank you again MJ Foy. Thank you so much. Wanted to make sure we got that in there also. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be some kind of an MMO that's going to be cross-compatible, because it looks like you've got semi-classic Monster Hunter gameplay, but at the same time it looks very open world.
Yes.
It doesn't look like it's restricted to, oh, you're in this zone and you gotta load into the next zone. I'm really excited about that. Eventually, it's going to be available on PC also, and will be cross-compatible with PC in the meantime. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just totally looking forward to that.
Then we saw the announcement for a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, which of course that was something a lot of people were looking forward to, the game having done so well over here.
Shadow of Colossus is getting a remake. That looks beautiful.
Yes, you're a big fan of the Ico series.
Yes.
So that's something to look forward to.
Everybody's making fun of Marvel vs. Capcom.
Well, yeah, because they gave Cap the Leafield chest.
Yeah, and everybody's faces look like...
Chun-Li looks awful.
Now, granted, they all look uniform awful, so maybe that was a stylistic choice, and they have
I don't respect that.
You don't respect that choice, okay.
There's the Final Fantasy 15 download for Bass Pro Fishing Champion.
Oh, God, you know what? So it's VR, Final Fantasy 15... DLC, not interested. Not even interested.
There's God of War, Take Your Son to Work Day.
Yeah, which we've been hyped up about for a year already.
Detroit Become Human.
Looks totally redesigned at this point.
Right, because last year we were looking at, what was it, an android cop.
Yeah.
Talking somebody down using different choices.
Now this is totally still about androids and totally still about the different choices you make will change, choose your own adventure, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But now it's going on this is the robot rights movement.
Yes.
This is what this is about.
And my favorite thing that they announced was we finally got a release date for the PS4 Spider-Man game.
Yes.
Which, admittedly, I'm going to admit, like everybody else came to the conclusion of very quickly, it's just Spider-Man by way of the Arkham games.
Which, is that so bad?
No, it's not. It's
that
really
bad.
not. It looks like they took all the best parts of the last terrible Spider-Man games, which had some good things in them, and incorporated it to look a lot more smooth, a lot more refined, and despite my initial feelings about it, I actually really like that costume.
Yeah.
So the last thing we'll get to, just real
which
quick.
also mentioned Miles Morales in
Yes,
there. Yeah.
can't forget Miles there at the end of the trailer, so hopefully he'll have a part to play there. Briefly mention Star Wars Battlefront 2. They're looking at the new gameplay there.
Looks superior to the first Battlefront in a lot of ways. Even though their presentation was a little garbage.
It's it was kind of garbage last year too, but you know, like whatever. And then last thing we'll mention is a couple of things from Bethesda. Just go over it real quick. The Evil Within 2 looks very scary. Good addition to the franchise there. The thing that's been getting a lot of people up in a huff is the announcement of this new Wolfenstein, where you're basically really like, it's not like you didn't beat up Nazis. I'm getting
Zombie Nazis. That's been a thing in video games
video games before, but like you've beaten up Nazis before, but now like this new Wolfenstein, it's like, no, these are like, it's stylistic Nazis, but they're like
and there's
today's
super in-depth storytelling in this Wolfenstein that looks really interesting to me. And who doesn't want to kill more Nazis, I guess? That's why they make more Wolfenstein. Man, we do not have time.
We got through almost everything.
Yeah, but if you want, see, I'm going to have to do the thing where I take the picture off, but I want to tell you thank you for being here and ask that if you're here with us live, keep sticking around with us for the next half hour, because we can keep talking E3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All you guys want. If you want to keep talking about E3, ask us more questions about E3. We'll delve into some different stuff. If you're not here with us live right now, I appreciate you watching it on YouTube later on in the near future, but it would be awesome if you could join us on our live regular shows at 9 p.m. Central on Thursday nights, because otherwise you're not going to be able to hear the additional E3 conversations that we're going to have. I would love to see you guys here.
And then, of course, during the week, you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at JoshKnight1st.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
And that having been said, that's been tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys again next week.
Thank you. But please don't leave, because we want to...